that there is still a lot that we don't know about this virus. And some things that we thought were facts are now being revisited. We were told if you had the virus, you then had antibodies, you would then be immune from getting it a second time. Now there are some questions about whether or not you're immune, how immune you would be even if you have the antibodies. We were led to believe that the good news about this virus was it didn't affect children, which was taken as great news, right? Now we have a new issue that we're looking at, which is something we're just investigating now. But while rare, we're seeing some cases where children affected with the COVID virus can become ill with symptoms similar to the Kawasaki disease or toxic shock-like syndrome that literally causes inflammation in their blood vessels. This past Thursday, a 5-year-old boy passed away from COVID-related complications, and the State Department of Health is investigating several other cases that present similar circumstances. This would be really painful news and would open up an entirely different chapter, because I can't tell you how many people I spoke to who took peace and solace in the fact that children were not getting infected. We thought that children might be vehicles of transmission. The child could get affected and come home and infect the family. But we didn't think children would suffer from it. If this is true, some of these children are very, very old. So caution to all people who, again, may have believed that their child couldn't be affected by COVID. This information suggests we may want to revisit that quote-unquote fact, that assumption. And if you see any of the symptoms that are on the chart that your child is evidencing, caution should be taken, because this is something that we're looking at. And again, there has been at least one fatality because of this, and there may be others that are now under investigation. So this is every parent's nightmare, right? That your child may actually be affected by this virus. But it's something we have to consider seriously now. Another fact we do know about this, and a common thread with the virus, is that it affects minority communities more dramatically. Nothing biological about the minority community, but demographically, socially, the infection rate is higher. New York State does not have the same disparities we see in other states around the country, thankfully, but we do have a disparity. It's again, relatively modest, but something that we won't tolerate, and you see it in the Hispanic community, you see it in the African American community, where they are disproportionately affected. We asked the hospitals to look at the new cases that are walking in the door to see what we can learn about where we are now, because we've taken so many actions, so many dramatic actions, close down schools, close down businesses, we're testing. We still have new cases. We're getting additional information on these new cases now. And when you look at the new cases and where they're coming from in the state, it's clear that a majority of the new cases and a disproportionate number are coming from minority communities. 21 zip codes with the highest rate of hospitalizations, 20 have greater than average Black and or Latino populations. So this is something that we're focused on and we're going to address, and we will address immediately. And we will have more information on this in the next couple of days. We must also adjust to the changing circumstances. Given the shutdown, many aspects of society have been closed down or are less operational. The court system is among them. It's done a lot of work thanks to what the court system has been able to manage by remote telecommunication, et cetera. But we passed a law in New York called the Child Victims Act, which was long overdue, which allowed survivors of sexual abuse as children to file a claim. We then had a window of time that they could actually file the claim. Because of the reduction in court services, we want to extend that window, and we'll extend it for an additional 5 months until January 14th, because people need access to the courts to make their claim, because justice too long delayed is justice denied, Martin Luther King Jr. So we will extend that window for people to bring their case. The good news on the overall is we're finally ahead of this virus, right? For so long we were playing catch up. We talked about the facts and circumstances that we found out about it. It was in China, it had moved, and we were playing catch up. We were behind it. Now, I feel for the first time we're actually ahead of it. We have showed that we can control the beast. If you look at those numbers coming down, remember our numbers are coming down in New York. Most states in this country, you still see the numbers going up. You take New York out of the national numbers, and you see the cases are on the incline. We have it on the decline. So we have the beast on the run. There's no doubt about that. We haven't killed the beast, but we're ahead of it. And the hospitalization rate is coming down, and the death rate is coming down. So that's all good news. And I feel that we are, for the first time in this engagement, we're actually ahead of the virus. We have to stay there, and we have to figure out what the next move is that the virus is going to make, and we have to stay ahead of it. But we are ahead of it, and we are in control of our own destiny. You know, why is that virus on decline? Why are those cases going down? Because we're making the number of cases go down. We are reducing the number of infections. If we didn't do anything, you would have seen that infection number keep going straight up. We reopen irresponsibly, you will see that infection number go straight up. We are reducing the rate of infection by our actions, wearing the masks, the close downs, the precautions. We turn that curve, no one else. And we are going to determine what that rate of infection is going forward. You tell me how we behave today, I will tell you the rate of infection 3 days from now. You tell me how we behave today, I'll tell you the number of people who walk into a hospital in 7 days or 10 days. It is that clear, cause and effect. It is that clear. That's also liberating. Finally, our destiny, our future is in our hands. And it's not subject to the whims of the virus. We are in control of the spread of the virus. And that is good news to me. We just have to stay there. And we will, because we are New York tough, smart, united, disciplined, loving, and the great state of New York is showing the way forward once again.